Let's go with Cosmo, man.
You know,
Let's go with the
same
legendary
old,
Cosmo,
my guy.
man.
Thanks for coming out. Appreciate you guys.
It's 2023. Champelli, Honeysuckle, Cosmo. It's about to be real.
Early 80s San Francisco, you know, credit a lot to that era to kind of molding me and making me who I am. And you know, we grew up in the 80s with the graffiti, and the hip hop was real present, and you know, that kind of set me off on my path super early.
Like, when did you start to like kind of get involved with music?
As far as just like, you know, being like obsessed with rap and things like that early on in the early 80s, I mean, that was just like a natural progression for me later on. You know, making beats with my dad bringing equipment, you know, to the crib, 4-track synthesizers, things of that nature, and just, you know, experimenting, man, just like with no real knowledge of what I was doing. And the music aspect of it is always the same. It's just the drums and shit that kind of change over time. The hip hop drums, you could have, you know, 5 different genres of a beat out of one beat just by changing the drums.
And then at this whole time, when did you start getting involved with cannabis?
It had to be when I got to Marin, man, because weed was so present over there at that time. And like early, like 6th, 7th grade, kids were going to town already. And then finding out later that my mom and pop smoked, and then kids coming over and smelling it. And then I started stealing it from her, and you know, and shit.
You're super tight with Berner, the founder of Cookies.
I met Berner in Richmond at Genesis crib.
Okay, dope.
The guy's passion and confidence and business sense was something he had early on. He believed so much in his ideas and himself that like he never really took no for an answer. If you can get around Berner and just a little bit of what he has going rubs off on you, you'd be in a good place, because it's way more than the average person. I try to rep for the Bay at a high level. I always want my shit to sound expensive, and that's the word I like to use. Whatever we're doing, whether we're creating a weed bag, a piece of t-shirt, or putting a song out, we want it to sound like it cost more than it did.
And then I know you're getting ready to drop, or your album actually just dropped.
The title is If Tomorrow Never Comes. It comes from a humble place of saying like, yo, if God forbid something happens to you tomorrow, you know, were you doing everything right? Were you leaving your legacy intact? Were you leaving your mark? I realized like all we really have at the end of the day, outside of like, you know, money and material shit, is like your legend. Like what people are gonna say about Pelly or Cos when we're gone. I had to ask myself like one day, like, yo, what do people fuck with you for? What is the thing that makes you cool to everyone? And I'm like, yo, I'm just cool, I guess. So if that's what people gravitate towards me to, then I'm just gonna be the ultimate cool guy. And I can live with that.